I've started multiple businesses in my life, failed as a founder of 2 different software companies, and now I run a law firm helping startup founders raise money and sell their companies. And it's crazy because 22-year-old me sitting in law school never wanted to own a law firm in the first place. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the entire story of how I went from studying law to 2 failed software companies to then becoming a SaaS lawyer, and why those early failures are the only reason my firm, Optimist Legal, exists today. So let's get into it. Before tech. So when I went to law school, I already knew the kind of lawyer I wanted to be, and it had nothing to do with tech or startups. I come from a Middle Eastern family, and if you grew up in one too, you already know there are really only 3 options your parents accepted: doctor, lawyer, or engineer. And my dad was the engineer, an actual rocket scientist who taught aerospace engineering at the university. And he's also the most relentless negotiator I've ever met. He's the kind of dad who made me haggle and negotiate for basically everything growing up. So between growing up around someone who treated negotiation like the most valuable skill in the world, having a rebellious streak where I hated being told what to do, and being obsessed with the show Law and Order, I landed on one dream. I wanted to be a public defender. But by the time I actually graduated law school, that plan didn't work out at all. I studied political science at the University of Cincinnati, and I spent almost all of college working at the public defender's office. So this was the path I'd been on for years, and I kept working in and around the public defender's office all through law school too, at the David A. Clark School of Law in Washington, D.C. Close to 7 years of my life working towards becoming a public defender. But the year I graduated, 2013, more new lawyers were coming out of law school than ever before. So the public defender jobs I wanted were almost impossible to get. And after nearly a year of applying everywhere from Washington, D.C. to Maryland to California to Georgia, so many places, I couldn't get a single job at a public defender's office. So instead of defending people in court, I ended up writing the laws themselves. During this time, a friend of mine was working in a senator's office in Washington, D.C., and told me that his office needed help. So it started as an internship, and I only took it because I needed the money at the time, but I ended up on the legislative team actually writing laws. I worked on campaigns and elections, and I even got to write a tax bill that gave tax credits back to small businesses across the city. For the first time, I saw how government and business really worked up close, and I loved it. But the problem was, it still wasn't the job I'd spent 7 years working toward. Working at Hyperloop. One day, a mentor of mine just became the chief legal officer at Hyperloop One and offered me a job there. For anyone who doesn't know, Hyperloop One was a high-speed transportation startup that was getting a ton of attention at the time. And I came on as employee number 68. The office was based out of the LA Arts District, and the whole thing started as Elon Musk's idea. Then a billionaire named Shervin Pishevar put up the initial millions of dollars it took to turn it into a real company. Later, Richard Branson got involved too, which is when it became Virgin Hyperloop One for a while. For me, walking into that office every day completely changed what I thought building something in tech could look like. But the thing that really changed me was the work itself, because Hyperloop turned into my crash course in how startups actually get built. Over about 2.5 years of working there, I helped the company raise its first few rounds of funding and grow from 60 employees to over 300. And I got my hands on basically every kind of legal work a startup runs into. million-dollar contracts, fundraising rounds, employee stock, even licensing deals with universities. That whole experience got me completely hooked on startups. So by the time I left Hyperloop, the entire direction of my career had changed. Working in the startup world wasn't just a job anymore. It had become the only thing I wanted to do. Looking back, those years at Hyperloop are a huge reason why I tried to be a software founder myself. So 2 failed startups. After a few years at Hyperloop, I decided to leave and try building a software company of my own. The first one was an app called Emojify. You'd take a selfie and it would turn you into your own AI avatar. And we raised about $250,000 to build it back in 2016, before AI was anywhere close to mainstream. My second business was a business I bootstrapped completely on my own. It was a marketplace for booking meditation teachers and other holistic healers, which I was really into at the time. But being a founder turned out to be a lot harder than I expected, and in the end, neither one worked out. Now, trying to build those companies taught me something I never could have learned from the outside, and that's how hard it is to be the founder. With Emojify, the AI technology we were building was just too early. We ended up with the wrong development team, spent way too much money, and eventually ran out of money before we could raise more. With the marketplace, I actually ended up in a dispute with my co-founder that turned into a legal fight. I had to shut the whole thing down. Because being the founder, where you're the one signing every contract and making every decision, is a completely different world from reviewing it all as the lawyer, I felt firsthand how stressful it is to build something, and how many ways there are to get the legal stuff wrong when you're moving fast and doing everything yourself. That whole experience made me realize I liked being the lawyer who helps founders a lot more than being the founder myself. So I went back to practicing law, but this time I came back understanding what my clients were going through, because I just lived it myself. In the end, those two companies taught me more about being a founder than any law school class or years of reviewing contracts ever could. This is literally the exact reason I'm a startup lawyer today, to help founders like me who know how hard it is to build a company and how easy it is to get the legal stuff wrong. So if any of this is resonating with you right now, click the first link in the description and book a free consultation with me. Anyway, let's keep going. Building Optimist Legal. So after those two failed software companies, I started working as a lawyer with some of the biggest software accelerators in the country, the kinds of programs that help early stage startups get off the ground. Specifically, I worked with Plug and Play, 500 Startups, and Draper University, helping their founders with the legal work behind building their companies. And what I saw doing that work was mind-blowing, because every week after week, a new batch of smart, committed founders would walk into the program and make the same few legal mistakes over and over. I'm talking trusting developers to hand their work over without signing anything, giving away too much equity too early, signing contracts they hadn't fully read, and that's when I realized something obvious. The firm I wished I'd had as a founder didn't exist anywhere. Most law firms work with startup founders the same way they'd work with any big corporate client. Formal, slow, and full of vague answers that don't actually help you when you need to make a real decision. But founders, especially early stage founders, don't need a lawyer speaking lawyer to them. They need someone who's a founder, who's been a founder themselves, and can tell them directly what to do. And that's exactly what I keep seeing in those programs. Smart founders making the same mistakes with no one around to actually explain what they should be doing differently. So at some point, I decided to stop being the lawyer for someone else's firm and just build the firm I wished I'd had when I was the founder. The point that made me realize I needed to start my own firm was when one of my friends at the time said it would be fun to start a firm doing M&A deals. I really enjoy starting and building businesses with other people. Having a complementary co-founder makes the journey, in my opinion, much more enjoyable. More challenging, but also it's a great feeling to build with someone who you respect and admire. That's one of my favorite parts of building businesses. I love building businesses with other people that I like and enjoy. And the whole goal of Optimist Legal was simple. Be the kind of lawyer I wished I'd had when I was running my own software companies, and give founders the experience of a lawyer they know has their back. And looking back now, those two failed startups were the reason any of this exists. I've now closed over $1 billion in deals helping founders sell their companies. I've helped hundreds of founders raise the money they needed to grow, and protected our founders at the most important moments in deal after deal. Every one of those wins comes from everything that I learned the hard way trying to build my own company first. And it's why I believe that sometimes the thing you resist the hardest in life is exactly the thing you were supposed to do all along. So if you're a founder figuring out how to raise money, scale your company, or sell it the right way, and you don't want to make the same mistakes that I made, click the first link in the description and book a free consultation call with me. On the call, we'll talk about where you're at right now, find any legal mistakes that could come back to cause a headache for you later, and map out exactly what you need to do to protect yourself. So again, you can book your free consultation call by clicking the first link below this video. And if you're just starting out as a founder and you want investors to actually take you seriously, then check out this video next.